And the algorithms that we use for this are auto-classification algorithms, decision trees, logistic regression, something called support vector machines. This is a branch of statistics I want everybody to learn a little bit more about. This is a methodology of classifying that uses a cluster of data to figure out an outcome. It's a very intensive way of using a modeling technique when all other modeling techniques have failed. It's computationally very intensive and will take double to triple the amount of runtime of other more conventional techniques like logistic regression and decision trees and Bayesian and neural networks. The next data mining technique we will try involves segmentation. This involves classifying data points into a group. These groups are either heterogeneous or homogeneous. In other words, they clump together well as a cluster, or they do not clump together well. The term we use here is something called silhouette. So, what does silhouette mean? My spelling stinks. Silhouette means when you build a cluster, your clusters in space need to be far away from each other, kind of like molecules that repel. So if you're marketing to clusters A, B, C, and D, you don't want these clusters of people, of customers or prospects sitting on top of each other. If you have that scenario, you have what we call a good silhouette. And if the clusters hang together well, you have what we call good cohesion.
What do you mean hang together?
I'll show you an example. Like if a cluster's a big blob in space that's kind of ill-defined with too many customers in it, it's got poor cohesion. So roughly everybody should have the same demographics, should have the same behavior, the same attributes. If they don't, you have a cluster that's not that cohesive. And if your cluster's crowding in on top of each other, like this, where they're all like collapsing in, you've got poor silhouetting. And you'll see in this example, we're always measuring silhouette and cohesion to see how good of a cluster can we build. Okay. And by the way, when you're building a cluster model, it's very much a good idea to build a cluster on your existing customers and take that scored cluster, that cluster score, and put it on your prospects to see what type of customers your prospects will eventually be. And market to your prospects as if they were an existing customer. In other words, send different welcome kits out to your prospects. So if you're in marketing and you're trying to figure out where to send your next welcome kit, you're going to use clustering and segmentation. Then finally, the third method is something we call market basket analysis or association modeling. It's from a branch of statistics called a priori analysis, meaning you're trying to figure out the odds of something happening given something else happening first. So that means there's a first event called an antecedent, and there's a subsequent event called a consequent. So if I buy beer, what's the likelihood I'm going to buy canned goods? If I buy a tennis racket, what's the likelihood I'm going to buy a bowling ball? It's very popular in the branch of retail analytics. It's called market basket analysis. That's the layman's term for this. Okay. There's more sophisticated ways of doing this. My favorite one is to use the a priori node, or algorithm. So again, we're going to do these in sequence. We have association modeling. You can see the grocer or the grocery store. You have segmentation modeling where we build different clusters, and we have classification modeling. So let's do the association model. We're going to figure out what products are being sold together. We're going to use a data extract from a transactional system. In this example, we have a hypothetical convenience store. We track who buys what. Maybe when they walk into a Sheetz or a racetrack, they're going to buy some ready-made goods, maybe alcohol, maybe no alcohol, maybe some tin goods or bakery items. And we're going to predict, based on an initial purchase, what's the subsequent purchase going to look like.
At two different times, or
We'll see. It's bidirectional. It's all at the same time. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. You want to identify your next likely purchase and create bundles to increase value. In other words, take products that are bought together and merchandise them together. Change the layout of the store if certain products are more popular than others. What we're going to do now is we're going to go into Modeler. We're going to click on File, Open Screen.